My wife, in a rush to go to work, forgot to bring her phone. I happened to catch a glimpse of a message notification. A huge sum of money had been deposited into her bank account. I carefully examined the transaction records. To my shock, it dated all the way back to 2 years ago. It was when I had handed over the family heirloom to her. It turns out that Liu Ryan had used the heirloom she swindled from me to amass her fortune. Immediately after, Liu Ryan's app popped up a friendly reminder. It was about the various things to note during her stay at a 5-star hotel. I was furious beyond measure. Grabbing her phone, I went straight to confront her. But what I didn't expect was to walk in on her so true to herself, engaged in a complicated, intimate game with her so-called male subordinate. Without hesitation, I demanded a divorce, and I ordered her to return my family heirloom. But to my surprise, Liu Ryan, along with her little accomplice, drowned me in the hotel's private couple's hot spring. They laughed cruelly, shouting, "You shouldn't have known any of this. Go die." When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day when Liu Ryan's loan shark creditors came to collect the debt. I heard Liu Ryan panic, shouting, "Hurry up and give them the money, or they'll kill me." I couldn't help but snort coldly. I said, "As long as they don't kill me, I'll make sure they regret it." "Of course," I continued. "If it's their choice, I'll do it." "Ah Chung," she begged, "please hurry and give them the money." Liu Ryan was pinned to the wall by the loan sharks. She kept shouting at me. This scene appeared before me again. I realized I had been reborn. I didn't, like in my previous life, fight with her and her henchmen, only to be humiliated and beaten to the ground. In the end, I promised to empty my family's fortune to help her pay off the debts. Instead, I snorted coldly. Then I said with apparent difficulty, "What should we do then? I don't have any money either." My reaction left Liu Ryan stunned for a moment. She even gave up struggling. "Ah Chung, where's your family heirloom? That Tong Qinghua your great-grandmother left behind?" Liu Ryan directly mentioned my family's treasure with a hidden purpose. She looked at me with hopeful eyes. This made me somewhat dazed. Could it be that Liu Ryan, I can't help you. Liu Ryan's eyes suddenly turned cold. She looked at me in disbelief. "Zhang Yicheng," I sighed. In a rush, I turned to her creditors and said, "Please give Ryan a little more time. She will come up with a way to repay the money." I turned to Liu Ryan and said, "Liu Ryan, how long has it been? Why don't you sell the old house?" Liu Ryan struggled to sit up slightly. She roared back at me. "Then where will my parents live? Hey!" In my previous life, Liu Ryan didn't care when I handed her the family heirloom. I carried so much pressure in the family. But what about her? The astronomical debt was a lie. And telling me that the family heirloom just happened to offset the debts was a lie too. She had been enjoying the money she deceived me out of for so long, and made me willingly work like a beast outside, and be a house husband at home. I did all the housework and cooking without exception. I didn't answer Liu Ryan's question. Liu Ryan also realized that her emotions had been a bit too extreme. After calming down, she tentatively continued to try to manipulate me. "Ah Chung, we've been together for so long. Please help me this time. You can't just stand by and watch them really hurt me, can you? Let me borrow the family heirloom. I'll repay the debt first. Afterward, I'll work hard and live a good life with you. When we have money, we'll definitely buy the heirloom back for you." Liu Ryan blurted out a long string of words. Each sentence was pressuring me to give her the family heirloom. The old me was pitifully naive. I really believed her. To protect her, I foolishly handed everything over to her. I had no choice but to pretend to hesitate and nod. "I'll have to go back to the old house. I'm not sure if my family will agree. If they don't agree..." Before I could finish speaking, Liu Ryan loudly interrupted. "Then steal it. Just that one sentence." I was certain that the Liu Ryan before me was just like me. She had also been reborn. In my previous life, I was the one who stole the heirloom and gave it to Liu Ryan. I nodded nonchalantly. I'll try. My words undoubtedly made Liu Ryan breathe a sigh of relief. The excitement in her eyes was almost impossible to hide. Liu Ryan pleaded with the henchmen. She left them with a final deadline. After the henchmen threatened Liu Ryan with words, they left our home. As soon as they left, Liu Ryan couldn't wait and rushed in front of me. Then let's go now. I purposely turned my back. With a hint of grievance, I complained. Liu Ryan, stop gambling. Don't borrow any more high-interest loans either. Liu Ryan hugged me from behind. She repeatedly assured me, I'll repay this debt. I'll live a good life with you. We'll get married. When I thought of how in my previous life Liu Ryan took my family heirloom and secretly became a billionaire, living a carefree life, and spending time with various male subordinates, working overtime until it was in bed, I couldn't help but wish I could
agreed to
give
her
the
bit by
family
bit.
heirloom, with a set deadline of 3 days. During these 3 days, I had to quickly get rid of her. That night, Liu Ryan, like in my previous life, went out to borrow money. Of course, I knew she was going to find her bedmates. Together, they would plan how to get my treasure. I knew exactly what was going on, but I acted like it didn't bother me. Liu Ryan's departure actually gave me a chance. I drove back to the old house overnight, facing my parents' questioning. I simply said I had a falling out with Liu Ryan. But unexpectedly, my cousin was staying over at our house. What a coincidence! Ziyu also came over today. You two can sleep together, keep each other company. I nervously responded, hoping Ziyu's presence wouldn't interfere with my plans. At 2 a.m., I turned over and confirmed that Ziyu had fallen asleep beside me. I quietly got off the bed. I took the key to the safe and opened the long-sealed warehouse. What caught my eye was the object wrapped in red cloth. This was the heirloom passed down from my ancestors, Tong Qinghua, worth 800 million. I took a modern ceramic vase of the same size from the yard and swapped it with the treasure. I covered it with the red cloth. If all went as expected, no one would notice. This way, it would also keep any malicious outsiders at bay. When I securely wrapped the real Tong Qinghua and hid it in the corner, I finally felt at ease. Before Liu Ryan repays the debt, I must protect it at all costs. In this life, I won't waste my heart on someone who doesn't deserve it. The next morning, Liu Ryan texted me asking where I had gone. I replied that I went home to think of a solution, but my cousin and my parents were all at home. The chat window with Liu Ryan showed that the other person was typing. Then a message came through. Ah Chung, don't panic. You must have a way. Then, I'll come to your house right away to find you. I couldn't help but sneer. This woman was really impatient. Her greed for my family's treasure was too obvious. I replied, don't come. I just told my parents that we had a fight. If you come, how am I supposed to get it? Liu Ryan, still unwilling to give up, said, it's okay. I told her I went to your house to comfort you. I could only give her a vague reply. Don't worry. I won't leave you hanging. I can handle this on my own. Liu Ryan reluctantly compromised. She emphasized again that if she didn't repay the money, she would be hurt, while typing to comfort her. I sneered disdainfully. If you die, then die. Reborn into this life. Are you still going to treat me like a fool? Handing the family heirloom to an outsider, letting her live a carefree life with money that should have belonged to me. Then, in the end, I die miserably while she and her little henchmen enjoy the bathwater? After leaving the chat, I felt an inexplicable sense of unease. There were 2.5 days left until the debt repayment. Liu Ryan wouldn't let me off easily. Sure enough, by night, I still hadn't heard from her. And Liu Ryan couldn't hold herself back anymore. She used the excuse that it was safer for more people to handle things. She insisted on coming to my house. Of course, I knew what her dirty little plans were. When I didn't follow her lead like I had in the previous life and help her repay the debt, she started having doubts about me. Where is the family heirloom? She woke up early. By the time I got up, Liu Ryan was already at the door. My parents politely invited her to eat. As for me, I played my role within the role. I pretended to be angry and ignored her. During the meal, she quietly asked me. I just ate my breakfast without responding to her, till she leaned in again to ask me. I finally couldn't hold back and slammed my dishes. I yelled angrily, Liu Ryan, don't you have any shame? Liu Ryan was stunned for a moment. Her gaze toward my parents was somewhat awkward. I added, don't think that just because you came to find me, I'll let you off the hook. Only then did Liu Ryan sigh in relief. She pretended to comfort me. Don't be angry, Ah-chung. Look, I've admitted my mistake. It's my fault. Come home with me, okay? I turned and went back to my room. I blocked Liu Ryan, who had followed me, in the room. No matter how much she knocked on the door, I ignored her. It wasn't until lunchtime that my cousin knocked on my room door. He tried to persuade me to come out for lunch. As we walked to the living room, he tilted his head and glanced at me. He casually asked, I've heard Andy mention there's some family heirloom at your place. Where is it? Can I see it? I broke out in a cold sweat. I couldn't help but freeze for a moment. My cousin noticed my strange reaction. He smiled and said, never mind. I'm just curious about what your family's antique looks like. If not, forget it. It seemed there was more than just Liu Ryan, who coveted my family's heirloom. When we went to eat, I noticed a strange woman at the table. I stared at her for a long time, before realizing that this was Liu Ryan's best friend, Shen Zhaonian, the accomplice who helped steal the family heirloom. Liu Ryan definitely owed the high-interest loans. And those henchmen were real, but the high-interest debt didn't even come close to 800 million. It didn't even cover a fraction of it. Her best friend was just here to help her share the spoils. In this life, I will make anyone who has their eyes on Tong Qinghua pay the price. I asked calmly, your friend, huh? How did she end up in such a remote place? Liu Ryan thought for a moment before choosing her words. She was passing by. We haven't seen each other in a while. In the afternoon, we were in the yard. I secretly listened to their conversation. I already checked the room on the east side. There's no family heirloom like he mentioned. Try checking in your parents' bedroom again. I silently mocked in my heart. These two are really filthy to the bone. In the previous life, after repaying that astronomical debt, Liu Ryan's luck began to turn. Her fortunes changed from bad to good. Not only did she find a job where she didn't have to do any manual labor and still earned a high salary, but she also kept getting promotions, bonuses, and within less than half a year after repaying the debt, she asked me to marry her. I was moved and confused. I never really thought about the cause and effect. After we married, she used the excuse of lightening the burden of our mortgage and car loan to work overtime every day. She even worked through the night. I had once suspected that she had someone else on the side, but she angrily smashed things around the house first, raging about all the efforts she'd made for our family. Feeling guilty, I apologized to her, promising never to doubt her again. And that was the end of it. It turns out, Liu Ryan didn't suddenly go bad. She was never a good person to begin with. Sure enough, in the middle of the night, I heard noises coming from the yard. It seemed they had started their move. Their movements didn't stop for a while. Before the sky was even light, I couldn't wait and ran to the warehouse. I checked the real Tong Qinghua. Only after confirming it was safe did I finally relax. However, I noticed the red cloth covering the fake Qinghua had been moved. There was only one more day left until the payment deadline. I had to be even more careful now, taking advantage of the night. I hid the mini camera I had secretly placed during the day in the room. With this, everything should be foolproof, right? Brother, where have you been? My cousin, still groggy, rubbed his eyes and asked me. I nervously replied, I went to the bathroom. Only then did he go back to sleep. I hadn't slept for long when someone pulled my blanket off. My cousin had already gotten up. I squinted my eyes to see who it was. It was Liu Ryan. She looked both aggrieved and worried. Ah-chung, tomorrow is the payment deadline. I simply grunted in response. But she sat by my bed, nagging incessantly, pleading for me to quickly steal the Tong Kinghua. Seeing that Liu Ryan had already found the heirloom's location, yet still pretended to want me to do the dirty work, I felt utterly disgusted. I turned over, ignoring her. Liu Ryan clearly wasn't planning to let me off easily. She firmly wrapped her arms around me. Ah-chung, you have to help me. Having not slept for long, I impatiently retorted. Why should I help you? Liu Ryan froze for a moment. Suddenly, she stood up. Zhang Yicheng, is this how you're going to treat me? Are you really not going to care whether I live or die? I didn't answer. She retracted her strong attitude. Then, in a humble tone, she whispered, Ah-chung, only you can save me now. I promise I won't gamble anymore. From now on, we'll live a good life. Was she still the Liu Ryan I once loved so deeply? The Zhang Yicheng who loved her to the bone. When I came to my senses, I often mocked my past self for being blind. But it was too late. We'll just live our own lives. With those words. And only one day left. I didn't want to play this game anymore. What do you mean by saying that? Do you want to break up with me? I silently nodded. Liu Ryan was pretty. And at that moment, she looked at me with eyes full of hurt. No wonder in the previous life, I was repeatedly deceived by her, time and time again. Suddenly, my cousin knocked on the door. Bro, time to wake up. Liu Ryan turned around to look at her. I clearly saw the way my cousin looked at Liu Ryan and something was off. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it. After all, between them, aside from me, they didn't recognize each other. All right, I said I'm going to change clothes. Out! I sat up. And before Liu Ryan left the room, she gritted her teeth and said firmly, Ah-chung, I won't give up on you. I couldn't help but snicker. She probably meant she wouldn't give up on my family's treasure, right? At breakfast, Liu Ryan kept trying to serve me buns and snacks. I decided to play along. I used my chopsticks to push everything out of my bowl. Liu Ryan's face darkened, but my parents didn't say a word. Shen Zhaonian, however, kept trying to mediate. Zhang Yicheng, don't be so aggressive. Look, Liu Ryan has already come to your house to apologize. Her attitude is so good. You should forgive her sooner. Tonight, just go home with her. Her words clearly hinted that I should take the treasure and leave with Liu Ryan tonight. I knew exactly what kind of person Shen Zhaonian was and what her intentions were. But what surprised me this time was that even my cousin was helping Liu Ryan. Yeah, bro, you and Liu Ryan had a fight. Aunt and uncle are also worried about it. Tonight, just go home with her. I squinted my eyes and scanned the three people in front of me. I just couldn't figure out what connection my cousin had with them. Was it a coincidence? It wasn't until the afternoon that I intentionally avoided both of them. Liu Ryan finally couldn't hold it anymore. She rushed to my front and didn't care about tearing her face anymore. And with a suppressed voice, she questioned me. Are you planning to not give me your family's treasure to pay off my debt? Even when she brought up this point, I still wanted to calm her down first. I pulled a reluctant smile. How could I? You know my parents are at home. I don't even have the chance to leave the house. Shen Zhaonian, at the right time, appeared. She quickly tried to lighten the atmosphere. Ah-chung, I've heard about Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan is your girlfriend, and she promised me that once she has the money, she will redeem the treasure. Don't worry. I know Liu Ryan well. She is reliable when it comes to talking and doing things. I sneered. Z9, you seem to be living quite comfortably. Why don't you think about helping Liu Ryan? Shen Zhaonian was caught off guard by the question and stood there awkwardly. She couldn't help but glance at Liu Ryan a few times. Finally, she stammered and tried to deflect the question. My money's all invested in the stock market. I can't take it out. Otherwise, why would I not help my best friend? Liu Ryan, seeing my suspicion, suddenly exploded in anger. After all this talk, you just don't want to help me. You want to watch me be tortured, huh? Really? We've been together for so long, and you don't trust me? Since that's the case, let's break up. I silently thought to myself, good. Break up? Isn't this a good thing? Shen Zhaonian patted Liu Ryan's shoulder. Ah Cheng definitely doesn't mean that. Ah Cheng, you should explain to Liu Ryan. Tell her you'll get the treasure out to save her. You've been in a relationship for so long, you can't just break up over a small matter. I nearly burst out laughing, but I could only force out a troubled expression. I'll give it to you, the treasure. When they heard my words, Liu Ryan hugged me tightly. She apologized to me, saying her attitude had been wrong just now. I pushed her away, holding back my disgust. All right. As soon as night fell, while my parents were visiting relatives after dinner, I found the key and opened the door. I carefully took out the Tong Qinghua and handed it over to Liu Ryan. The moment she received the treasure, Liu Ryan's eyes were filled with uncontrollable excitement. Hubby ... I knew you were the best. I lied, saying I stayed at home for a few days to observe the situation. The two of them, having gotten the treasure, didn't even spare me a glance. They just got in the car and left. Watching the car speed away, I sneered. This time, I won't let you succeed. I thought that with Liu Ryan failing to repay the money on the due date, she wouldn't have another chance to target my family's treasure. I slept soundly, enjoying the first real rest since my rebirth. The next morning, I woke up, went to the warehouse to return the real Tong Qinghua to its place. But when I went to check where I had left it, the place was empty. The treasure was gone, and I broke out in a cold sweat. I immediately checked the surveillance footage. The monitoring software alerted me to an anomaly at 4 a.m. After reviewing the footage carefully, I couldn't believe who had stolen the treasure. It was my cousin, Zhang Yu. I immediately contacted the police, demanding they capture Zhang Yu and retrieve my family's treasure. After collecting the video evidence, the police acted quickly. They began tracking Zhang Yu's movements. To my surprise, the last place my cousin went was my own home. When I arrived at my house with the police, I found only Liu Ryan there. But my cousin was nowhere to be found. Liu Ryan saw me and the police enter. She came out to greet us, confused. Ah Cheng, I couldn't take it anymore. I slapped her across the face. Liu Ryan, stop pretending. Do you have no conscience? Liu Ryan, still holding her face, continued to act dumb. What's wrong with me? Ah Cheng, explain yourself. What did I do? When I realized the family treasure was still missing, I couldn't control my emotions anymore. I immediately grabbed her by the collar, shouting at her, "Where's my family's treasure? Tong Qinghua? Don't tell me you don't know." Liu Ryan smirked slightly and whispered to me, "Tong Qinghua? Didn't you steal it to pay off my debt? Look, I'm fine now. All thanks to you." I stared at her in disbelief, unable to believe I was making the same mistake again. Yeah, the debt collectors didn't come, and my legs are still here. But my family's treasure? I yelled again, unwilling to give up. You know the one I gave you was fake, right? You knew all along. Liu Ryan looked at me mockingly, as if she knew everything. I not only know, but I also know you're reborn. I stepped back in shock. I was stunned for a few seconds. The police, not understanding what was going on, asked me what had happened. I was speechless. In this life, Was this how it was going to be? Would I just have to watch it all unfold and be powerless to do anything? No! Suddenly, something came to me. Liu Ryan's payment record should be in a week's time, and she couldn't possibly hand over an 800 million treasure to a debt collector. So, the treasure must still be here. As for Jongyu, the last place she entered and left with the treasure was my house. So the treasure must be here. Officer, I demand a thorough search of this room. Liu Ryan, a little flustered, blocked their path. Why? This is my house. You don't have the right to do this. I snorted coldly and stared at Liu Ryan, saying, Liu Ryan, don't forget, the rental contract was signed by me. I'm the owner of this house. At the police's request, I showed them the relevant proof. Only then did the police begin the search. When Liu Ryan saw she couldn't control the situation, she softened her tone and whispered to me, How about this? Whatever the treasure is worth, I'll give you half. Is that okay? Liu Ryan's nerve was thicker than a city wall. She wanted to split my family's treasure in half. What kind of logic was that? Get lost, Liu Ryan. Are you shameless? I pretended to go into the room to help search. Liu Ryan nervously glanced at the bedroom. I understood immediately. She blocked my way again. Chung, let's talk about this calmly. I'll give you whatever you want. I didn't want to say anything more to this disgusting person. Impatiently, I sneered. I just want my things back. Besides, you still owe me a life. I narrowed my eyes at her, hatred and satisfaction bubbling up inside me. What qualifications do you have to say that to me? Liu Ryan didn't dare to block me again. But just as I was about to enter the room, she begged me from behind. Can you help me pay off the debt? I promise I won't gamble anymore. Get lost. I turned around and hit her with a barrage of insults. She cursed at her like she was a pile of shit. I no longer cared about her. I went straight to the bedroom to look for Tong Qinghua. Just at that moment, someone rang the doorbell. The police officers immediately became alert. They hid in every corner of the room. So Liu Ryan went alone to open the door. To her surprise, it was Zhongyu and Shen Zhaonian. Liu Ryan asked, Xiaoyu, why are you back? Shen Zhaonian, what are you doing here? Shen Zhaonian didn't see me in the room. Why so cautious? Have you been discovered? She said it with hidden meaning. Then Zhongyu pouted and coquettishly said to Liu Ryan, Ryan, didn't we agree that if I helped you get something, you'd give me a reward? I could tell right away. Zhongyu and Liu Ryan were already acquainted. Liu Ryan couldn't stay calm in such a situation. Their arrival was nothing short of suicidal. It was like they were here to take Liu Ryan's life. What do you want? Get out! Facing Liu Ryan. Her attitude was like turning her face and pretending not to know them. Zhongyu looked aggrieved as he returned to Shen Zhaonian's side, his poor little puppy-like expression as he tugged at Shen Zhaonian's sleeve. Zhaonian, look at her. She keeps delaying and still refuses to help me blow. Shen Zhaonian began defending him in front of Liu Ryan. Ryan, you're the same. You have someone's little brother helping you and still don't show a little gratitude? Liu Ryan's face was flushed with anger. No one was a fool. This complicated relationship looked almost laughable to anyone. I even admired Zhongyu a bit. To stay in between two women for so long. Shen Zhaonian, I treated you like a close friend. Is this how you treat me? Since it had already been exposed, Shen Zhaonian didn't hold back and hooked her arm around Zhongyu's. While marking her territory, she threatened, I'll tell you this. You have to give us half of the money. In this matter, everyone has been of help. If you hadn't found a beer, Xiaoyu would never have given the item to you. Watching this dog-eat-dog drama, it wasn't just me. Even the police had figured it out. It seemed that, once they found the material evidence, everything would be over. After watching the farce, The police relaxed their guard and jumped out from all corners of the house. Seeing so many police suddenly appear at the house, Shen Zhaonian immediately realized what was going on. But by this time, it was too late to escape. After hearing these words, I sped up my search for the item. It was such a large object and hard to hide. I quickly zeroed in on the high wardrobe where the winter quilts were stored. Standing on the bed, I carefully opened it. And sure enough, the tightly wrapped tomtatanime was placed there, perfectly intact. I called out, "Found it." Immediately, a police officer came to help take it down. After undoing all the layers of binding, everyone finally saw the true face of tomtatanime. Its colors were vivid, and under the light it dazzled magnificently. No wonder it was an ancient heirloom worth 800 million. It didn't take long. Liu Ryan and the others were arrested for theft. Before being taken away by the police, Liu Ryan cried and begged me to forgive her. I said, "Not in this lifetime." Liu Ryan said, "This life I have nothing left. Are you satisfied now?" I shook my head. "Not enough. Why don't you just die?" Liu Ryan looked at me with a pained expression and finally said those words, "I'm sorry." I took the treasure back home and protected it carefully. I strengthened security measures, including full-angle surveillance and a large safe. After finishing all of this, I was finally able to catch my breath. Since the severity of the three crimes varied, before the formal case was filed, Liu Ryan and Shen Zhaonian, who had not participated in the theft, were bailed out through unknown means. Meanwhile, Zhang Yu was detained until the official trial day. I spent a long time at home with my parents, explaining everything that had happened. After a serious conversation, my parents decided to cut ties with my cousin's family. As for my decision to call the police and have Zhang Yu sent to the detention center, relatives came to make a fuss. I directly sent the detention certificate issued by the police to the family group chat. Not only could Zhang Yu not get out, but he also had to endure the judgment of all the relatives. Even the relatives who had come to cause trouble couldn't lift their heads anymore. Of course, the consequence of things escalating was that everyone in the family now knew we had a priceless heirloom, and they all came to visit. But I had already warned my parents. The heirloom must not be shown to outsiders. Not to anyone. After all, in this day and age, the hardest thing to predict is a person's heart. Liu Ryan came to find me. She had had a leg broken by the people she owed money to. Seeing her in such a miserable state, I felt not a single stir of emotion inside. This was all her doing. The Liu family sold their old house, and her parents were forced to rent a small place to spend their remaining years. As for their daughter, because of her constant delays, she failed to repay the money she promised, even after agreeing to pay double after selling the items. That's why her leg got broken. Liu Ryan cried in front of me once again. "Acheng, I regret it. In the past, I was too selfish. I didn't want to live without you. I was afraid you would find out that the money I got was all a lie. I was afraid. I've been poor my whole life. I really feared they would take everything back." I scoffed and asked, "Is that your reason for cheating?" I didn't know how Liu Ryan had been living behind my back. How many young, strong gigolos she had slept with, I had no idea. Just thinking about it, I felt so disgusted I almost threw up. "Get out!" After Liu Ryan left, I thought life would return to normal. After all, the trial was coming up. The amount of money involved was enormous. Liu Ryan would have to serve many years in prison. But what I didn't expect was the one with the lightest sentence, Shen Zhaonian, suddenly showed up at my door. She placed all the blame on me. I clearly gained nothing good from this. Why should I be the one to go to prison? I used all my methods to get out. And now I'm going to kill you, you damn bastard. Go die! Shen Zhaonian drew a long knife and chased me down the alley, all the way to the alley's end. There was no way out. I despairingly thought back to everything I had endured in these 2 lifetimes. Fate was so unfair. I thought the reason I was given another chance was because they pitied me for being deceived for so long. I thought this time I was supposed to live differently. When the long knife was about to stab into my abdomen, someone stopped it. The knife plunged into Liu Ryan's body. I watched the blooded knife tear through her belly. Holding my mouth, I stared at Liu Ryan, not looking away. I've already called the police. Chung, don't be afraid. Liu Ryan gripped the knife tightly, not letting Shen Jiaonian pull it out to hurt me again. Liu Ryan lay in my arms. Warm blood splattered all over me. It pulled on the ground. Hearing the sirens, Shen Jiaonian scrambled to flee the scene. Liu Ryan said she loved me. She just got her true feelings after she got the money. Liu Ryan said she regretted it. If she could start over, she wouldn't make the same mistakes. Liu Ryan said, "Give me back everything I'm owed." When the police arrived, Liu Ryan's body had already turned cold. I didn't respond to her from beginning to end. She was the only one speaking, but my tears couldn't be held back any longer. It was over. There was nothing left between us. Liu Ryan. The police took the long knife as evidence. I followed them to the police station to give my statement. I couldn't snap out of it for a long time. Not long after, Shen Jiaonian, who had been hiding outside, was caught and brought in. There was no need to guess. It was intentional murder. Shen Jiaonian was close to death. On the day of the trial, I attended as a witness for both the theft and murder cases. Shen Jiaonian was sentenced to asterisk. All of her assets were to be used to compensate me for my emotional distress. As for Zhang Yu, he was sentenced to 7 years. She cried uncontrollably in the courtroom. To this, I only want to say, those who bring harm upon themselves will not survive. The matter was finally and completely settled. I came out of the turmoil of emotions and began a brand new life. On the weekend, my parents asked me to come home for dinner. At the dinner table, my father spoke to me earnestly. In this matter, you did very well. Your mother and I know our precious son has grown up. So, the heirloom left by your great-grandmother is now in your hands. We trust you. I kept refusing. But my mother patted my hand. Our Cheng has turned into a good boy. Your father and I are genuinely happy. Later, I moved the heirloom to my new home. I used the large sum of money I received from the lawsuit settlement to pay for my university housing. I finally had my own little home. I took great care to protect the heirloom. This time, I wouldn't let anyone target it. And I would never sell it. I will pass it down forever. I will tell future generations ... that the Zhang family has its own family traditions. We will never be troubled by money. The end.